Hello guys, Garcia here. This is the beginning of a new playthrough on the channel, The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. The first playthrough on the channel was Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, and after that game, I've been basically playing two games simultaneously, and I've been alternating uploads between them. But I also wanted to have a long-running series, a series that I could be playing on the channel for years to come, and a series that I could, like, once a week or twice a week I could upload an episode and slowly building the story of the character in a particular game, you know. And I've been thinking about a bunch of games to do that. So all the series that I'm doing right now, I'll keep doing them, no problem. And when I finish them, I will keep replacing those two games with other two games, and so on and so on. But I also always wanted to have one game that I'll be playing constantly for like 1 year or 2 years or something like that. And I've been thinking about several different games, mostly Bethesda games, or Bethesda, let's say, adjacent games. So I've been thinking about Oblivion, I've been thinking about Daggerfall, I've been thinking about Skyrim, I've been thinking about Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and so on and so on. And the only one that I was thinking that is not this particular style of game, I was thinking also about Darkest Dungeon. But the problem with Darkest Dungeon is that I usually play it like heavily modded. I have tons of mods. So probably, I don't know if people would enjoy watching that. So I opted for Oblivion because of all the games I cited, is the one that I know the most, is the one that I play the most, and is the one that I think I can have like a series of like 100 episodes or something like that, you know. So the idea is to have this game occupy that space of a long-running series alongside my two other games that I've been playing. And pretty soon I'm going to start making a few videos that are not playthroughs, are just general videos about gaming and games I like and stuff. So the idea for this particular playthrough here is I'm going to probably record 1 or 2 episodes per week for as long as, you know, as the game lasts, which in the case of Oblivion, if you ever play this game, is a colossal game. It's very, very, very long, especially if you add mods and stuff. So that's the plan. So before we start with the episode, which is going to be the next upload on the channel, I'm going to actually explain what I'm going to use here. I'm going to show you guys my mod list. So here it is, guys. So this is my mod list, the one that I will be using for the entirety of the playthrough. So this is on Rybash, by the way, that I use to mod my game. So I've been using this mod list for like a couple of years, I think. Usually I used to play with very few mods. But in recent years, I started adding more stuff because I played the game so much and I finished the game like 2-3 times. So you start wanting to see new stuff, new quests and things like that. So basically, this is going to be the mod list. So I'm going to go over the ones I can remember what they do here, because sometimes I actually forget what this or that one does, you know. But I'm going to go through the most important ones here. So when the playthrough starts, and if you start seeing something during the playthrough that you don't recognize, that you don't remember, it's probably something that comes from a mod. Before I talk about the mod list, just my reasoning behind playing with mods. I know that there are people that are 100% vanilla players in any game, they hate mods and all that stuff. My reasoning is I started playing Oblivion for the first time in 2011, so I was pretty late to the party. And I played the game for like 100 hours. On my character, I was playing a mage. And I was having a blast. It was basically, alongside World of Warcraft, my favorite game back then. But the problem was, I didn't know about the scaling. I didn't know how leveling works. I didn't know how to maximize every skill. I didn't know that you should postpone this, that you should level this first, that you should avoid using that skill, and all those little things that you need to know as a Oblivion player. So what happened was I was very weak. So I was level 20 something, and I was being destroyed by everybody. I was being destroyed by random wolves. I was being randomly destroyed by like a random thieves on the road. I wasn't being destroyed by like world-ending enemies. I was basically being destroyed by random enemies, regular enemies that you meet everywhere in the game. So I was disheartened, and I kind of gave up on the game for like 4 or 5 years. I got like traumatized because I spent 100 hours. I was loving the game. But then I read about this mod right here, Oscuro's Oblivion Overhaul, which basically fixed the leveling for me. It's kind of hard for me to explain what this mod does. It's one of those colossal like kitchen sink type mods. It has a lot, and I do mean a lot of content. But the reason why I use it is basically because it fixes the leveling for the most part, and it fixes the scaling for the most part. So for example, you have a cave that only like scales to level 10, for example. So if you go there at level 15, you are not going to see enemies that are for level 15 players. You are going to see the last enemies available for the level 10 players, because that's how far that particular place scales. And there are places in the game that are like for level 20, 25 characters, and if you go there at level 1, you are going to get crushed instantly because you are not supposed to be at that place. So it's more of an RPG, traditional RPG game mod, so to speak. So there are places that are already super high level, there are places that are low level and will keep being low level until the end of the game, basically. So you know where to go if you need to farm something, if you need something more on the easy side, something harder, better loot and all that stuff. So the world as a whole makes more sense with this mod for me. So since I started playing with this mod back in the day, years and years ago, I don't remember when I started, I never played a single game of Oblivion again without this mod. So I don't remember how vanilla is anymore because I've been playing with this mod for so long, because it basically fixes the game for me. It's like Civilization 5 and Vox Populi. If you know that's comparison, basically the same thing. It's a mod that fixes most of the problems that you have with the game, and also adds so much content that you just can't play without it. And it does feel like it's naturally a part of the game. It doesn't feel like an appliance. It doesn't feel like an extra arm on a person, for example. It feels like an arm that was missing, and it gets completed with this mod, basically. I'm terrible. I'm being terrible with analogies, by the way. But that's it. So that's why Oscuro's Oblivion Overhaul is the main one. One that I've been playing with recently is Better Cities. So basically this one expands all of the cities in the game, all of the main hubs of the game. So Anvil, Bruma, the Imperial City, and so on. So the unofficial Oblivion patch, obviously, you can't play without the unofficial fixes. The game is beyond broken without them. So Better Cities, camping, it's a mod that just adds some camping equipment, nothing too crazy. The DLCs of the game. Let's keep going down. Fighter Guild's quests. So basically, it's a mod that adds extra quests to the Fighters Guild. Knights. It's also... Oh, this is very important. AFK Way. Way is basically... it's a village that you can find just walking out of the big bridge out of the Imperial City. And it's basically on the first road after you leave the big bridge. It's a fantastic mod. It adds a new home. It adds a bunch of quests. It's very, very fun. It's probably the most fun I ever had with a quest line in this game outside of the Thieves Guild. So it's a fantastic mod, and I also never play without it. Harvest Flora, I think, adds extra plants and stuff, and also adds like they respawn. So it adds a respawn timer for plants and stuff, I think. The alchemy mod is basically adds new potions and new recipes and a new method to the whole alchemic process in the game. I'm just trying to remember the things I remember these mods doing, you know. So the integration is basically another one that has a huge quest line, I think. Trying to remember. Better cities, we already talked about. Better cities, integrated, better cities. Oh, and the last one, the one that's on the bottom of the load order here, is Mascar's Oblivion Overhaul, which is another overhaul of the game. This basically on the same line as OOO, Oblivion's Oscuro's Oblivion Overhaul. But the difference is it adds different things and it works on different things. And as far as I know, both can work together. So you don't need to choose between one or the other. You can just use both at the same time. So Mascars adds a bunch of items, a bunch of different enemies. I think there's some reskins for enemies too. It adds a bunch of things that come right from Skyrim. So it adds, for example, crafting. So you have foraging and things like that, you know. So it adds more food and things of that nature, I think. So it adds a bunch of stuff. So the idea is to use the OOO, Oscuro's Oblivion Overhaul, alongside Mascars. So we have a ton of new content alongside with the original Oblivion game. And extra quests here and there, several different quest lines to make the game a little bit more, you know, interesting. And the better cities. So we have a bunch of new NPCs and possibly more quests and things of that nature in the new cities. The only drawback with that's basically caused by using better cities specifically. There's no problem in using OOO and Mascars, as I said, and all the other mods. The only mod that can cause trouble is better cities, because better cities will always cause a slowdown in big cities for most players, even if you have like a super machine. I don't have a supercomputer at all, but even some people with great computers usually report that this mod causes slowdowns and things of that nature, because it's just too much for the game to load, you know, the engine is very old and all that stuff. But it's not a slowdown that like forbids you from playing or something like that. It's not something game breaking. It's just something that, you know, when you enter a city, it's going to slow down a little bit, but nothing too crazy. But other than that, everything else works fine, you know. So that's our mod list, basically. I've played with this mod list once with a character, 150 hours. I did everything in the game, all the new stuff. One thing that I've never done before ever in Oblivion was play the Shivering Isles expansion completely. I've never completed the entire expansion. Other than that, all the quest lines and everything else I did. I've had a sword and shield guy. I had a mage. I had a couple of rogue archers. And I also had a guy that used two-handed hammers. So I basically had all the spectrum. The only thing I've never played with, is a puncher, a brawler. Someone that basically just used the fists to fight, you know. Because I don't like that playing style. I just like having weapons, you know, like swords and stuff. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. I'm going to think about it because I'm going to post this video and then I'm going to record later. So I'm still not sure exactly what I'm going to play, but I usually play with a rogue. Not necessarily because it's better to play with a rogue in any Elder Scrolls game, especially Skyrim and Oblivion, but because it was the first character I've ever made. But it wasn't the first character I ever played a lot with. The one that I played a lot with was the mage I was complaining about earlier. But the first one that I finished the game with was a rogue, you know. So I kind of like that playing style. I like the stay in the shadows and stealth and all that stuff. Times 3, times 4 damage and all that stuff. And I like also that you can just get money just by, you know, robbing the entire Imperial City or Anvil or Bruma or whatever, you know, instead of having to grind it out in the caves and all that stuff. But that's it, guys. So this is my complete presentation of the mods that we are going to use. and my reasoning for choosing Oblivion instead of the other games. And we will be starting our journey in the next episode of this particular series. I don't know if I'm going to post the first episode today or tomorrow, but it's coming. And the other playthroughs are going to continue as normal. And when those games finish, they will be when I finish those games, they will be replaced by other games and so on and so on. But this playthrough, I'm going to keep playing this game until we finish it, which could be next year, 10 years from now, who knows. Might take forever. It's Oblivion, you know. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.